Penguin Random House Audio presents Pretty, a Memoir. This is the author, KB Brookins. For Texas, and all my boys who didn't get to be boys. Author's note. This is a memoir that I wish had existed when I started growing chest hair and a patchy beard, and cut off all my chest tissue except the part that made fake nipples. This is the book I needed in high school when I was getting ridiculed for being gay. This is the book I need even still with my now illustrious beard as I blend in with men who have, or more likely haven't, dealt with their own monsters. Before 2018, I identified as a Black lesbian from Texas. This was pre-COVID, pre to mid-Trump presidency, and during the times when everyone was catching Pokemon in random parking lots or doing the You're a Jerk dance when we all had good knees. I was out here riding through the six. In this book, that means Stop Six, the side of town I grew up in Fort Worth, with my woes, wearing pronouns and skinny jeans that didn't fit. I was in a body that felt fine, except it didn't. Imagine me, a 12-year-old in tights made out of 100% discomfort, seeing a stud, which is slang for Black butch lesbian, for the first time. Why is a boy here? A Black girl in my grade said to all the other 7th grade girls in the gym. Slobber was still singed to the corners of our mouths. We didn't say it out loud, but all wondered the same thing. The girl we were staring at in them oppressive-ass Spanx wasn't a boy. She was just lost in translation. I go more into this story later in the book. I needed this book then, but I was too busy waiting in lunch lines for steroid-injected hot wings, eating 3 for $1 cookies so giant they covered half my face, and hiding in my sweaty, depressed body to inquire further than the common mistyped history and the falling apart books you could only find in the six. I didn't have an Amazon account then. So this happened. First, it's just journal entries. Walks around my now Austin, Texas block. Conversations with my partner and other Black trans masculine beings, and bad poems. Most names of people, plus some minor details, have been changed to preserve anonymity and fossilize this as my truth only. I include footnotes to make clear what I mean. Some terms I use have multiple or hard-to-find meanings. I wrote this book on want and need to see Black AFAB trans literature. I wanted to share things about me and the untemplated masculinities I've seen over time from Black cis-het men, Black gay men, Black trans men, and Black studs, butches, boys. When I say boy in this book, I mean transmasculine people, which includes Black butch lesbians, studs, dykes, trans men, and trans non-binary people like me. Some transmax use this term as a way to refer to the similar ways that we navigate and experience gender. I wanted to figure out how Black AFAB trans people beam so bright like that, and remind us of how goddamn oppressive patriarchal masculinity is to everyone. I wanted my truth, just one that lives among the many of Black transmasculine people, to be centered in something other than death. And with the help of love, spit smeared on my screen, sleepless nights when my grades suffered more than they should have, and a hand-me-down laptop that's on its last leg, I think I did it, reader. There are so many ways to experience Blackness and or talk about the trans experience. Some of us are masculine, feminine, or something else entirely. Some of us are still figuring out the trench-coated brother with callous hands and black-and-mild stench, or the pants-sagging NB with a silk shirt and bad intentions. Those are different templates of masculinity. I wanted to capture all those things, so I brought in my failures, my stories, my family, my critiques, my call-outs, my joy, and my jokes, in hopes that folks reading this might get what they need from it. KB Brookins. 1. After Dion Brand. The poet cloaks themselves in language just to later arrive at your front door. The poet has been into the idea of mud lately. Where does it come from? How do we track remnants of something that came from an uppercase something and whine while wringing ourselves dry? The poet has thoughts the size of a mustard seed, sits his ideas in our mud, raises up a child from the earth from whence it came, stirs us up with the idea of tracking dirt. From dusk to dawn, look. What do you see in between mundane creases of shoes? Can I breathe a penchant of insight into you, trouble-sized and ready to be loved? The poet strips possibility bare to count the lines on its hands. Until I wasn't. Before the Texas heat could cut through bodies like glass, there was a nighttime breeze. My mother felt a rumble in her belly that sent her hurling over a toilet seat, gunks of upchuck getting stuck in her hair. Sure, she'd gotten food poisoning or a bug that upset her stomach before, but this rumble was different. It stayed often. It felt unprecedented for her still growing 17-year-old body, so she hurried to get a pregnancy box from the pharmacy that is now an apartment complex. She took round trips to the bathroom, each one more sobering than the other. After peeing on 3 different sticks and spending minutes anxiously twiddling thumbs on her childhood bed, 2 red lines stood in for the inevitable. Pregnant. These lines were confirmation of what she already knew. But sometimes, someone or something else needs to say it. This was the end of her black girlhood. This was the beginning of her sweet black girl. Before she could count the days between the formation of her new self, a self forever molded by mothering, her first ultrasound appointment came. A nurse gelled her newly plump belly and pointed at a fat-backed monitor. Little lines went in and out of focus. "It's a girl," the nurse said, softly. My mother smiled big, then nodded in silence. That was the first sentence of a book that describes my undoing. That was the first story someone else told for me. At least I'd like to think that's how it went. The truth is, I don't know much about my pre-life. My first thought was to start this book with some sob story about my childhood, something that made you want to tear up and keep flipping. But I don't remember much about that either. The learning how to walk, then run, then fail, then question myself, all of it is a blur. Except moments that feel like scenes you hurry to forget after watching a scary movie. Unintentionally remembering little, I think, is the scariest feature one could have within their body and mind. I must confess, I spent many years making up stories about my 0 to 17 existence. I wanted my childhood to seem like the kind of thing that led me to the present, so I filled in blanks. And when friends inevitably recalled their childhoods in conversation, I told 50% fiction. I wanted the kind of memories that people bring up in quick quips. The truth is, when somebody says childhood, my mind distills 17 years down to several scenes I can count on 2 hands. Even then, my mind autocorrects to something else when I remember anything too painful. Half of those things I don't care to dwell on for.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?